drops a bit of a brilliant bomb there with knight d8 check by black, and we'll keep our eye on that later, because right now we've got Armageddon already underway. So much action, not enough time. You can go to chess.com/events to follow the games yourself. Go ahead and do it. I've got it open as well. Here we go. Magnus with white, Hikaru with black, Armageddon.
Magnus sacrifices Hannah.
Exactly. Did you expect that, David? I was gonna ask, what was your prediction in terms of the opening for this game? Did you expect Magnus to go for this?
No, Magnus doesn't tend to repeat his openings. You remember yesterday doing the classical, the Armageddon, they were very different types of openings. Magnus normally switches things up, but here he's taken Hikaru head on, pretty much up the challenge here. He's gone for the piece sacrifice temporarily, he's regained the material with a fork. White has the bishop pair, white has the better pawn structure, but watch out, black has a huge threat. c5, hitting the white queen, then c4, knocking down the white bishop. Really typical idea in the Spanish opening. But Hikaru prepared again. Is this wisdom, is this madness from Magnus?
I have no idea what's going on in terms of Hikaru. As he said, he has a huge backlog of preparation from the candidates, and it has been going really well for him. Yesterday against Fabiano, today against Magnus, but now, who is happier here with the opening? Who has out-prepared whom? Danny?
I mean, I think Hikaru's happy again, just from the perspective that he's already taken a minute off of the edge. Remember, white has 10, black has 7. So, okay, there's still plenty to go, and it's a 3-result game for sure. But I feel like Hikaru is once again happy. He's not showing any signs of not being prepared for this position. So, okay.
Yeah, he's just got active play, active pieces, Hikaru here. The black knight on e5 compensates for the bishop pair, at least for now. Slightly backward pawn on d6, but easily defended for now. You can imagine that pawn stepping forward later upon sufficient preparation. Yeah, feels like also issues for Magnus, how to complete development. Knight d2 always met by a knight landing into d3, I was going to say, so he prepares that one first. He covers the d3 square. And Hikaru, yeah.
He is a speed demon and he needs it here, because black starts with 3 minutes less on the clock, but now the time advantage is only 2 minutes for Magnus, and black has draw odds. We need to emphasize that, because that is the Armageddon format. Hikaru doesn't need to win this game to win the point for the Armageddon.
I love the chat. This is going to be good. Yes, it is. This is going to be good. We agree. it's because king c5 is coming, and this is the problem. It's an obstacle bishop ending, yes, but the real advantage, and I was trying to calculate the king walk, didn't have time to say it out loud, but David's now highlighting it. From the very beginning, the reason Magnus took that queen on g6, you saw him pause to calculate, is because he knew, David, that he could win the sprint to the queen side, and that was the key to the decision, and ultimately to whether Magnus can win this endgame. If that king gets to b6, you've got king activity problems, right? You've got other issues of your Hikaru to defend, and I'm actually feeling more nervous about this position for Hikaru now than I have been.
I think you're right why you're nervous about it. I'm not sure why Magnus is thinking about king c5. David, what is he seeing there? Isn't king c5 very obvious?
Yeah, I didn't really understand. Maybe just indecision, Armageddon, it gets to the best of us. Magnus did pause, did find the best move. I think he wanted to activate the white knight, but ultimately jumping in with the king of the hill here is way more important. As Danny mentioned, he's raced forward, and only now does he start to improve the white knight. Okay, what next though? How to clinch this? Is it walking through forward with a white king simply to create a pass pawn?
I'm feeling more and more like this Magnus is going to find a way to get this. It's principle of two weaknesses, clinical, right? You talk about it. The key is that if that knight moves from e7, everybody, the f5 square becomes available for Magnus's knight. And if you don't go to e7, there you go, then the king will get to b6. The knight would have loved to have been on a square like c8, holding back the lions. You see Hikaru shake his head. And yeah, I'm thinking that there's just enough on both sides of the board for Magnus to maybe get this one.
Just enough material left, as you say. Knight still key to this position. Even if white wins this A pawn now, wins a second pawn, if knights disappear, it's a draw. So you need to be careful as Magnus Carlsen right now. I was going to say, do you step forward with pawns, block the advance of black's kingside pawns? Magnus says no, he's going after the black knight. If he could trade bishop for knight, Magnus wins. Opposite colour bishops is the main thing he needs to avoid. And also the clock now, they're not yet. Oh, sorry, they have just reached move 40.
Yeah, they have completed move 40, so that's good news for at least starting to get an increment, but the increment is only 1 second increment per move. In over-the-board chess, that is not much, if anything, at all. You cannot make your moves as fast as it would be with the mouse on an online board.
And Magnus now, he's cashing in the advantage. He's gone after a second pawn. Notice how he's kept the white king active where it is. He's locked the opponent's pawns on dark squares on the king side, and now they're just dropping off. Risky strategy by Magnus to put his own pawns on light squares, but they are nicely protected by white's knight. This one looks over. Hikaru under 20 seconds now.
All the pawns have been falling, the a6 pawn is still hanging as well. Hikaru is trying to get his bishop in to attack the kingside pawns of Magnus, but Magnus is pointing out that also the remaining pawns on the kingside for black are weak, and now he captures on a6. It's 3 extra pawns now.
Yeah, and there we go. Hikaru resigns. Magnus Carlsen takes the win in Armageddon. Great endgame technique, showing the benefits of active pieces, but it was close. Hikaru had his chances to hold that.
It was super close, and I still think Hikaru had a great strategy going in. I think he had a great opening, and he got that obstacle bishop